Hey, what's going on, guys? It's ETA Prime back here again. Today we're going to be taking a look at a pretty awesome little budget tablet by Alldocube. I've actually been waiting for this for a few weeks now. This is known as the iPlay 40. Price on this is coming in anywhere from $180 up to $220 depending on where you pick it up online. And with what I've seen out of this tablet so far, it's looking like a really good budget offering if you're looking for an Android tablet. So with this one here, we have a 2K IPS display at 10.4 inches, an Octa-Core CPU, 8 gigs of RAM, 128 gigabytes of storage, and this does support 4G right out of the box. So along with the tablet itself, you're also going to get an instruction manual, USB Type-C charging cable, and a 5-volt 2-amp power supply. Overall, for a $180 tablet, this is actually looking like a great budget offering. We do have USB Type-C, quad speakers all the way around the unit. Over here on the right hand side we have our power button and our volume rocker, and moving over to the left hand side we do have our SIM card / SD card slot. Now with this tablet here, it does support 4G, but I will admit that I'm not big on these networks and these bands and stuff like that. But on screen now is a list of what's compatible with the iPlay 40. So as specs go on this tablet, it's actually looking pretty decent. Now this is a CPU that I've been wanting to get my hands on. It's in a few devices out right now, and I think some more are coming out with it. But this is a UNISOC or a UniSoC Tiger T618. It's an Octa-Core ARM CPU. We have 2 A75 cores at 2 GHz and 6 A55 cores at 1.8. The GPU is the Mali G52 MP2, 8 GB of LPDDR4X RAM, a 10.4-inch IPS display at 2000 by 1200. We have 128 gigabytes of onboard storage plus that micro SD card slot, and I have tested up to a 512 gigabyte card. It does work great in this unit. 6000 milliamp hour battery, 802.11 AC Wi-Fi, Bluetooth 5.0, and this is running a pretty vanilla version of Android 10. So yeah, the user interface has been super snappy, and I say a pretty vanilla version because there is one app installed. It's just the wireless update app, but there's no bloatware on here whatsoever. There's no pre-installed games or ads or anything like that. And when it comes to these tablets, this is exactly the way I like them. You can go to the Google Play Store, download anything you want, and if there are Google apps that you don't use, you can always disable them from within the settings. So yeah, I've been really impressed with the performance here, and it really comes down to that 8 gigs of RAM and that UNISOC 8-core 2 GHz CPU. Let's go ahead and open up Ida64. As you can see, we have Android 10. We have a pretty recent security patch when it comes to these cheaper Android tablets. And instead of those 6 A55 cores running at 1.8, these are actually running at 2 GHz on this tablet with the latest update. And yeah, the screen on this thing looks absolutely amazing. 2000 by 1200. It's a 10.4-inch IPS. So when you're playing native videos from an SD card or internal storage, you can go up to 2K, but there are some limitations here. This doesn't have Widevine Level 1 certification. So apps like Netflix, Hulu, Amazon Prime are going to be stuck at that standard resolution. And this is going to be a big letdown for a lot of people. But when it comes to these Chinese tablets, that's usually how it goes. You have to pay for that certification, and this tablet would be a little more expensive if they had to do that. But everything does load up pretty quickly, even though it's standard definition. I've tested Netflix, Hulu, and Amazon Prime. All of them will be in standard. YouTube is a bit different. Now we can't go up to 2K with this, and I even tested YouTube Advanced, and I just can't get it to display 2K, but 1080p 60 runs just fine. We got plenty of power here to play any of these videos. And like I mentioned, if you did want to play native videos at 2K from an SD card or internal storage, this CPU and GPU combo has more than enough power to play those at full speed. So if you want to do 60 FPS video, you'll have no trouble at all. Now when it comes to native Android apps, we do have full access to the Google Play Store. So if you want to go through and download your favorite games, you can. It does support PUBG, Call of Duty Mobile, Minecraft, and the basic stuff. We even have access to a lot of emulators, and we'll be testing out some native Android gaming and emulation in just a second. But first up, I wanted to run some benchmarks on this device and just see how it performs in those. So checking out Geekbench 5, the scores are actually pretty decent for the price of this tablet. Single core, 394, multi, 1532. Next up, 3D Mark Wildlife. This is their newest dedicated Vulkan benchmark. Total score, 703. When it comes to OpenGL performance using Slingshot Extreme, 1484, and finally, Antutu, with a total score of 222,908. And this is actually a really good score for these budget tablets. Recently, I reviewed the Lenovo P11 Pro, which is a new 11-inch Android tablet from Lenovo, but it costs $499. It's using the Snapdragon 730G, and that scored 279,746. And when it comes to strictly performance between the two devices, I don't think the P11 Pro is worth an extra $300 versus something like this coming in at $180. Alright, so now it's time to test out some native Android games. I've had really good luck with this. Performance is outstanding for a tablet at this price point. For the most part, this definitely has enough power to play anything from the Google Play Store. With some games you might have to drop it down to low or turn the frame rate down to 30, but overall we're getting really good native Android game performance out of this tablet here. Next up we have Minecraft Pocket Edition, and since we have Bluetooth built in, I figured I'd go ahead and connect a Bluetooth controller. I'm set to 12 chunks with this game here. I got fancy graphics on and performance is great. Usually when it comes to these Chinese Android tablets, I do have to turn fancy graphics off and the chunks all the way down to about 6, but this one here, we're getting really good performance out of Minecraft. Inside of the settings, we're at medium, and I have the frame rate set to high. I'm not sure if this is running at a complete 60, but it's still really playable here, as you can see. Now it's time to move over to a little bit of emulation. I'm just going to test out a few here. If you're really interested in a full emulation video, let me know in the comments below and I can get something made up. But here we have N64 using MuPin 64 plus FZ. I am upscaled to 800 by 600 and everything that I've tested so far has worked really well. Moving over to Dreamcast, we're using the Redream emulator, upscaled to 1280 by 960. This is one of the harder ones to emulate, DOA 2, and we're running at 60, so this definitely handles Dreamcast really well also. PSP using PPSSPP, 2x resolution, Ghost of Sparta, Vulkan backend. Every once in a while, you'll notice it dip, but if you've ever tested this game out on higher-end machines, you know that happens every once in a while. I'm actually really impressed that this is able to pull this game off at 2x. And finally, we have GameCube using the Dolphin emulator. With this game here, I'm using the OpenGL backend, and I haven't even really gone in and messed around with the settings. Now I can tell you, just by playing this game here, we're not going to be able to run every GameCube game at full speed, because we're not even doing that with Soul Calibur 2, but I know that this can run some GameCube games at full speed with the correct settings, and possibly using Dolphin MNJ. I also wanted to throw some game streaming in here, so first up we have Xcloud. Now I've noticed that with these lower end devices or these Chinese devices, I always get some weird audio issues with Xcloud. Unfortunately, as you can hear, we're getting those audio issues with the iPlay 40. And finally, for game streaming, we have Stadia running Cyberpunk 2077, and I've personally had really good luck with Stadia. I mean, they've done a lot of great updates with this. I know some people are kind of against it, but I keep this subscription just to test it out on devices like this, and it works out really well. So here's the deal. I'm personally a big fan of this tablet. I think we're getting some really good performance for the price point here. A beautiful 10.4-inch IPS display. We have those quad speakers, 8 gigs of RAM in this thing with 128 gigabytes of internal storage, plus that micro SD card. A clean Android 10 ROM. You can get about 8 to 9 hours of video playback out of this device, but if you're gaming, it's going to be around 4 to 5 depending on how hard you're stressing out that CPU. And if you wanted to put this on a mobile network, it does support 4G. So overall, I think they definitely hit a home run with this, coming in at $180 to $220 depending on where you pick it up. I think it's definitely worth it if you're looking for a lower cost Android tablet. Now, if you're just looking for the best of the best, I would go with the Samsung Galaxy S7. Or if you want to go a little bit cheaper, pick up the Samsung Galaxy Tab S6 because that's still using that Snapdragon 855. And both of those tablets are amazing, but they're much more expensive than the iPlay 40 here. Now really, the only downsides that I'm seeing with this tablet right now are long-term Android support. We never know how many updates we're going to get. Now when I pulled this out of the box, I did have one update. You know, they might do one more, they might not ever do another update. You really never know with Chinese tablets like this. The other issue that I'm seeing here is no Widevine 1 support, so we're not going to get HD playback in Netflix, Amazon Prime, and other applications that require that certificate to do HD playback on a tablet like this, and personally, I don't think we'll ever get it on this, so you're going to be stuck with standard definition from those well-known streaming apps. But other than that, I'm personally a big fan of this thing, and I could definitely recommend this for anybody looking for a budget tablet with decent performance. But that's going to wrap it up for this one. I really appreciate you watching. Definitely keep an eye on the channel because I do have a full emulation video coming up on this. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments below. And like always, thanks for watching.